This review has been a long time coming. This carrying case has spent around 300 hours inside my pocket, and the tin HiFi P1s has been my daily driver IEM for over 1 month. And in my opinion, this is a complete package. Okay, so let's go over what's inside the box again. We have the IEMs, a very nice carrying case, though it has seen some wear and tear over the month. 6 pairs of silicone tips with different size and depths, 2 pairs of foam tips, and an MMCX cable. The cable is a 9 out of 10. It is a supremely soft, loose weave with a nice connector, jack, splitter, but once one side started cutting in and out, which was fixed by replugging the connectors. And I think that it's just a problem with MMCX overall, not with the specific cable. With that said, the cable isn't perfect, so I use the chin slider every day. Alright, let's see if I can do this on camera. Alright, look at this. Okay, it's actually... There we go. Oh yeah. I can do it. Sorry, so the point is, the chin slider is too loose to be actually useful, which is unfortunate because I go out every day. I use IEMs on public transport. I really do need the chin slider to keep my cable from tangling onto everything. Alright, the IEMs themselves are made of stainless steel. I'm pretty sure that they will last forever based on the build quality. And they also fit and seal my ears perfectly. Fit is very important when it comes to IEMs because fit can greatly affect bass and treble response. In my case, the Koni foam tips and the included medium-sized foam tips fit perfectly and sound the same. I strongly suggest using foam tips because they are more comfortable and they seal better. To test the IEMs, I use my Topping DX3 Pro, best DAC amp ever, my Galaxy S8 Plus headphone jack, and the Apple USB-C dongle, which I cannot show you because I'm using it to record the audio. So to me, there's significantly less separation and soundstage on the S8. But since my A/B testing rig is broken, I cannot properly test the difference between amps. And so, in short, don't take that as gospel. It sounds pretty good nonetheless. With that said, the P1 is terrifyingly hard to drive for an IEM. Sure, it's a planar IEM, blah blah blah. But I did not expect it to be so hard to drive. My S8 Plus is almost at full volume when driving the in-ears. And on my DX3 Pro, they required the same volume as the Sennheiser HD 650s. Sound signature wise, this IEM is 90% my perfect sound signature. It is properly neutral, slightly warm, with great extension towards both ends of the spectrum. It's very pleasurable to listen to. Alright, so let's start with the bass. To me, this is properly neutral bass. Extension is good. The bass starts rolling off at around 35-40 Hz. I wish the extension was perfect, down to 20 Hz. But with that said, I'm pretty sure that this is a tuning choice by Tin HiFi. The bass itself, the impact is very enjoyable, and there's extreme layering inside the bass that make EDM a bliss to listen to. With that said, I still added some bass through parametric EQ on my computer. Moving up the spectrum to the mids. There's a lower mid bump that makes everything sound full and has a nice presence. Vocals and instruments are slightly more forward than, say, the Tin T2s, but not too much. In short, the mid-range is the best I've heard in an IEM. And finally, the treble. So the treble is also neutral and extends past what I can hear. But to be perfectly critical, it's a bit smoother than neutral. I couldn't really find the exact frequency for that. So I guess that there's a recess somewhere between 4 to 8K, and after consulting some measurements, I found out that there's a dip at 5.5 kilohertz. To be honest, this dip should be there. It reduces some of the treble energy that tend to hurt on V-shaped tracks, and it makes the treble a little bit duller, I guess. It's not too sharp. But in my opinion, it also makes the treble sound a little bit unnaturally smooth, if you know what I mean. So to recap, the sound signature is almost perfect, bar the 40 Hz roll-off and 5.5K dip, both of which can be fixed in software. I am also quite impressed by the technical aspects. Soundstage is intimate, almost like the 650s, and the IEM do a great job of filling up that space with sound. Imaging is okay, it's not mind-blowing like the HD 650s. This is a totally unfair comparison, but yeah, that's the best I can make. And the same thing can be said about resolution or details. While the Tin HiFi P1s have the best details and resolution I've heard in an IEM, there's still so much space for improvement. With that said, the IEM does sound extremely clean across the entire frequency range. So at this point, I was planning to give a few example tracks where I think that the P1 excels, but to be honest, this is kind of a jack of all trades. There's no song, or there are few songs where the P1 makes me go wow because it's awesome, or meh because it's really bad. It is not an ace in almost anything. Well, maybe besides some EDM, I really enjoyed listening to electronic music through these. I went through my library and I realized that in the end, it all comes down to soundstage with these IEMs. Songs that rely heavily on staging will suffer with this IEM. Crossing by Yosi Horikawa sounds kind of boring, but everything else the IEM does really well. From J-pop, I've been listening a lot to the Violet Evergarden's original soundtrack, Lost Child by True, and some name that I cannot pronounce because it's in kanji. So after some googling, it turns out that her name is Chihara Minori. I guess you learn something new every day. Now let's get back to the video. Education by PSYQUI, Letter by Yosi Horikawa. It's, because I'd say that this track relies a lot more on imaging than soundstage, so the imaging is accurate. Camellia, Dreamless Wanderer. Without EQ, the song has a very distinct feel. It's like the dubstep part starts at around 3 minutes in this track, and the treble, the dubstep, has a very material feel to it, which is, I like it. It is a slightly different presentation compared to, say, my 650s with EQ or Tin T2, but I really enjoy it. So, is the Tin HiFi P1 worth it? For me, yes. My library consists of all types of music, from orchestral, a little bit of pop, way too much J-pop and anime soundtracks, some mild electronic, some E-rate electronic, and the P1 accommodates all of them, with or without EQ. EQ just makes it go, that extra 10% to perfection. It's nicely built, presented, comes with all accessories needed. I dropped the carrying case. So in short, it's a complete package. I won't give it a full recommendation because it's not that much better than the Tin T2, The 10G2 I'd say is around 60% of this, what this can do. And this is way too hard to drive. I mean, if I couldn't plug an IEM into my phone and expect around 90% of the sound, 90% to 100% of the sound to come out from this 2-year-old flagship headphone jack, then I cannot recommend it to everyone. With that said, this is now my daily driver, and I guess I won't be replacing it anytime soon because it's actually good. Thanks for watching. I hope that you enjoyed the review, and see you next time. Poor carrying case.